And tell us a little bit what it's like, racing through, and because obviously it's a massive commitment, racing, in terms of financial and lifestyle. And what's it like, obviously, building a family and raising a family into whilst trying to pursue a career in racing?
But it's not the family side's really good because our family has been around racing for years, so that side of things is quite easy. Like little Mabel, I said she's going to gel, like I said, with Molly's, who I'm with, Molly, her brother, sorry, has been racing for years. Their family have been doing it for years, so it's just easy. Our family have been racing for years on years and years, and it's just easier to bring a new member into it. The hardest bit is working side. Now with the new calendar, it's like I go to work, I go to BSB, I get home, work, BSB, work, BSB. It doesn't it never ends. I mean, it's good. Like I say, you're always busy. It is hectic. Like I said, it's just flat out non-stop. And as I say, if you're not thinking about racing, you're thinking about working, and then you're thinking about racing again. So it's nice to have that little break at the end of the year where you can just calm down and just chillax for a bit.
For sure. And I was, juggling all of that and keeping your training, keeping on top of your training whilst making sure you're working so you can pay for the racing, and then organising everything else, sponsorship and all around that. I mean, but people don't realise how much effort goes into it, for sure.
It's not.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen you on a few different bikes in Stock 1000, because obviously that's what you're doing now. On the Aprilia a few years back as well, the Kawasaki, now the Suzuki. You favoured anyone over the other?
It's hard to say because every bike has the advantages. I've not rode the Suzuki yet, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
I couldn't even tell you. But I'm going to love it because, like I said, Team Omega, they make you feel so welcome already. Like Chris, who owns it with Tom. You got Mike, you got Kev. I haven't met all of them yet, but every single one of them are mega. Chris mainly, I just get on well. Chris, the team manager, he's a bit bonkers. Like he's a bit like me. He just loves it. He just goes there for the enjoyment of it, and it's real good. Like I said, I already feel part of the team, which is really nice. And obviously, I got the two teammates as well. I got Ash and I got Brent, which I've known Ash for a while. I haven't known Brent so much, but he seems like a really nice kid already. So I think when you get to BSB, you want to have a nice team anyway, because obviously it's stressful. So to have a nice team around you to make your life a lot more easier, it eases things a lot and makes your life a lot easier. Like going to a race meeting and having a laugh, because it obviously does cost a lot of money, and having that much money to go where you want to have a laugh with it. Like if it's stressful and you're pulling your hair out every weekend, it's like could go on all day. So it's nice to have a team that really do it for the right reasons. It's real good. Like I said, I'm enjoying it already. I've not even sat on the bike yet, so yeah, mega.
Yeah, and there is always that element to it, obviously, because I mean you're spending so much money on it, and then when you're there, you want to be enjoying your racing, as stressful as it can be. What would you say is the easiest way to sort of make sure, with the amount of pressure and stress that there is, you still enjoy it?
Mainly have my girlfriend and my little baby there. Like I said, it's nice to go out on the bike. But if you have a bad weekend, let's say, I like coming home and just seeing Molly's face, because, like I said, she knows to say the right things to me, which some racers don't have, and they won't experience it. But it's nice to just come home and just have a normal life. It takes your mind away from it, and then you can reset, go again. But if you have a mega weekend, it's even better because you've got that bit there to enjoy it with. You can celebrate it properly. So I would say the best bit about it is obviously racing, but then having your family around you, your girlfriend, my mum, my dad, everyone. It's just brilliant.
Well, I see you've been doing a lot of work to get sponsors on board, out there on social media, and obviously behind the scenes as well. Just explain to us what goes on behind the scenes for a rider to be pushing to get the funding behind them.
It takes a lot. Mainly it's family money. It has been. That's what's been for me for a long time. Now I have a managing company that sort of looks after me and helps me find sponsorship. So they're called Pro 53. Guy called Gary is really good, but it does take a lot to find. Obviously now with COVID as well, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It takes most of my time up, if I'm honest, because obviously racing's not cheap, and like I said, it's good and it's hard work, and it's when it's going well, it's worth it, and that's the bit that makes it worth it when it goes well. So you train hard, you find the sponsors, you do all the hard work before you even get to BSB, and then when it goes well, it's all worth it. So it's good. Like I said, it's hard work, but it's good.
Would you say it's more difficult to get sponsors now in the current climate?
It's a hard one really, because it's always been hard to get sponsors anyway, no matter what. It's like I said, no one wants to just give you a lump sum of money and go, here you are, you go and live your best life and I'll pay for it. It's a tricky one no matter what. It's just I would say now it's a bit harder because no one really wants to commit to giving money, because obviously no one knows what's going to happen. That's the bad thing, is like no one knows what's going to happen. Like we thought by now COVID would have been gone and we would have been at lockdown, but here we are a year later, we're still in lockdown. So I think that's the most tricky bit. It's just people don't know what's going to happen. So hopefully now we've got the vaccine, everything can start going back to normal and we can start living the best lives again.
Oh, for sure. For focusing a bit more on yourself now, 2020 was a decent season for you. From the sidelines, it looked that way. How would you say it went?
It's hard to say because obviously testing went really well. I mean, Our testing program was mega. I was mega happy. I couldn't have been in a better position, to be fair. Testing was really, really good. I was mega confident going to the start of the season. Then we did the test up Donington and BSB, and it's my own fault. Sort of ruined the start of the season because I, in a stupid mistake at testing, I was on an old set of tyres, and as every rider sees, when their name's dropping down the order, they just push that a little bit harder, and I was on old tyres, I tucked the front, and the bike was totaled. I couldn't apologise to the team more for making, it was like I had another test session as well, so I don't know what I did it for. It's just when you're on a bike, a bit of a red mist, so it sort of ruined the start of the season really, because obviously it put us on the back foot. But when we got the bike going again, I got my confidence back up. I managed to get the results back to what I was doing at the end of last year. So not last year, before at 19, when I was battling for the win. Obviously didn't get quite near that again. I was battling for the podium, but it was good. Like I said, it was real. It was positive. It's put me in the right frame of mind to end the year on a high note. If I ended it how I did at the start of last year, it would have been a bit of a different story, because the start of the year was a bit difficult, but I managed to pull it back and get back to some decent results, which was tidy and made me a bit more happy.
Was it, for you, did you feel that it was quite a bit different with the busy schedule, and how much did it change your sort of approach to the rounds?
I actually preferred the back-to-back because if you had a bad weekend, let's say you had a 2-week gap, you've got a 2-week gap to think over it and think over it and think over it. Like, if I had a bad weekend, I want to go back on the bike next hour and make it better. I don't want to sit at home and think about it. It's probably the worst thing about racing. If you have a bad weekend, you have all that time to think about it. So back-to-back weekends of races is probably brilliant, because you do your job, you race your bike, but for like teams that have to like go to work between rounds, I guess it's not the best, because they have to work, they have to prep the bikes, and then back to BSB. So in that terms of thing, it's not easy for them, but riders, we love it. We can't beat it. We love riding bikes. So for me, it's awesome because I get to ride a bike every weekend and bring my family with me, which is awesome. So I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, to go back to the start of it, it's just good to have that weekend after weekend. So like I say, if you have a bad weekend, it's good to reset quickly and get going again.
Did you ever feel like, because obviously there was quite a few less races in there, did you ever feel at any point that if you had sort of more races, more time, then there's more you could have done with it?
Oh, for sure. I think every racer thinks that. I think every racer thinks if you have more races, more time, more lists, they think they can do a lot better. I think honestly, I know if I had a little bit more rounds at the end of the year, I think I could have even maybe pushed that podium, even gotten it, because I felt like I was just getting to my stride and then it was done. And I thought, well, that was a bit of a gutter, really, because I was just getting the ball rolling with me and the team again after what happened at the start. So, yeah, I feel like if it wasn't such a shorter season, I feel like I could have done a little bit more damage in the championship. But it is what it is. I mean, I've got this year to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's the brilliant thing with racing, is there's always those more opportunities for you to go and prove yourself. And this year is shaping up to be good. You've signed a good deal with a good team. So what's your goals going into the season?
Well, every racer wants to win. I mean, if you're a racer and you say I don't want to win, then I don't get what's the point of even doing it. That's not a cocky thing. It's just, I think that's every racer's mindset. I think, like I say, if I can just achieve top 5 every weekend, it's all about consistency. Like I said, you can, if you think back to 2006 when Nicky Hayden won the championship, he won one race that year. It's not about winning every race. It's all about being consistent. So if I can be consistently fast, push for that top 3, push for that wins, even on your bad days, make sure your bad days are sort of a good, decent result. So when you look back on it and go, 5th was a bad day, that's brilliant. That's what I want to be at the end of the year, thinking, 5th was a bad day, happy days.
Yeah, for sure. And if 5th is a bad day, then you've definitely had a pretty good season.
Yeah, like Marquez, and a bad day is a 2nd.
Well, that'd be a dream scenario with that season where it was first to 2nd.
Yeah, well,
his only bad days were with DNFs, pretty much.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, yeah. Mental.
Yeah. I mean, we can only hope. We can only hope when we hope that you do get those sort of results.
Awesome.
In terms of more of like a long-term plan, obviously, I mean, everyone's target is to get as high as they can in racing. Any sort of plans to move to BSB? Do you sort of see yourself there in 2 or 3 years, or it's just sort of take it as it comes?
I would like to be in Royal Superbikes, but
yeah, of course,
that's a big goal. I would say MotoGP, but that would be,
it requires funding.
Yeah, I wouldn't say even funding. I think it's just getting lucky.
Yeah, the opportunities.
Yeah, just given the right. You got to be racing. I think you got to be in the right time at the right place. Like I say, if I go and win a championship this year, it may not get me anything. You got to be, like I said, in the right place at the right time. You cannot win a championship and get given a ride. It's all about the right person seeing you in the right time. Like if I win a race and say a big sponsor sees me and goes, "Yeah, mate, here's this. I want to help you. Happy days. I'm sorted."
For sure.
So it's I would say my long-term plan would be to have a decent ride in BSB, because that's what I can see is achievable at the precise point. That would be mega if I can get a decent team in BSB and even prove myself in BSB, because look where Dixon is now. It can be done. It can be done. It's just working hard and make it happen. So I would say that the short-term plan or long-term plan, let's say, is a good ride in BSB.
And do you see that as sort of something you can achieve in the short term? Are you looking to sort of, go in this year, guns blazing, podiums, wins, and then hope that steps you up?
I would hope so. I mean, it's a hard one to say, because even if you win the championship, sometimes you don't get promoted. Yeah. It's like I say, it's all about the right timing. Like I say, if 5 riders quit next year and there's 5 slots in BSB, then it could be possible. It's like I said, like I just said, right timing, right place. If I win a championship and there's a place on the BSB grid, happy days. If I come 5th in the championship and someone wants to promote me, happy days. I like to be on that BSB grid. I think most of people in BSB would like to be on the BSB grid, because it's the number one slot. It's like being a Moto3 and MotoGP. Your goal is to be on that MotoGP grid. So, that's my goal. I want to be in BSB. Don't know if it'll happen. I hope it does, because that'd be bloody mega.
Do you see many opportunities, because you mentioned World Superbikes, do you see many opportunities for BSB riders to be able to make that step across in these times?
I would say the young riders, definitely, like got Thickers, got Storm Stacey, are the young riders. Well, I would say they're the two young riders, young riders, let's say, who've probably got the maximum possibilities because they're still young. They're in the BSB grid already. Probably teams are looking at them because they're young. It's not saying that Josh Brooks couldn't go to Royal Superbikes, because this, like, look at Rossi, 42, still pushing on in MotoGP. It's not the fact the teams don't look at the old riders; they look at the young riders because they look at the potential.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's definitely doable if you're in BSB and you're like you say I'm 25 now. If I get into BSB at 26 and I push on for wins straight away, I'm still classed as a young rider. So I would say I'm still going to be pushing myself up there, hopefully. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, I mean, the goal for any rider is to push as far as you can and try and aim as high as you can. And we also saw you this year. Just something I want to touch on a little bit as well. We also saw you doing a little bit of super sport as well. What was that like, swapping between the two? That
was mega fun. I really enjoyed that. That was so much fun because it was on the old Triumph. And that it was a bloody good put out Triumph. I mean, Steve Hill, who was my mechanic for the team, he's a top notch guy, and he built a very good Triumph in the space of time he had. I just enjoyed riding it. I didn't even care where I finished. I just enjoyed riding it. It was so much fun, and because of the mixed conditions, it actually helped in both the classes because I was out pretty much before every class I was in. So if it was super sport, it was stock thousands next. If it was stock thousands, I was out in super sport. So I had the conditions lined up for me, so it was pretty awesome. And I still qualified 7th in Supersport. I didn't even sling my leg over to the FP1. So I was still happy about that, to be fair. And then we had some problems with the bike, to be fair. It kept breaking down. Every time I did a start, it would cut out, which is scary because it did it actually in race 1. And 30-year-old bikes coming up from behind you. That was a bit hectic. But in race 2, I got another. It was just bad luck, to be fair, because I got off in race 2 in Super Sport. I was 13th. I got myself up to 7th, and I didn't know who hit me. Some smashed me from behind. I went back down to 22nd, and I got back up to 12th. And I was catching the group in front, but obviously just ran out of time. But I mean, for our old bike, she was flying. I really had fun on it.
Well, that's brilliant to see you were able to make those steps in between. Sorry, Lester, I think I just cut you off there.
No, I was just going to say, Luke, yeah, it has been fascinating listening to your mindset coming into this year and reflect on things that happened last year. But I just wanted to dive in just before we say goodbye to you. A couple of questions have come in for you in particular, Luke. What's this one? Chris Jones has been on, and he's asked, why do people call you the Grinch? What's that about?
Well, it's not people, let's say, it's just him.
I'm hearing on the streets that people are saying, yeah, so what's the story behind that?
Grinch, because he thinks I'm little, angry and green. So
that's going to catch on now.
That's why I'm called the Grinch, because he's quite funny and he thinks he's a funny man.
Let's see if that does stick. I don't know. And also, I think Glenn Thompson's also been on earlier as well. I think you already talked a little bit about your teammates as well earlier, and he was just asking you how you thought you'd sort of compare to them.
Well, I've raced against Ash for a couple of years now in stock thousands, and I think together. I think we should be fine. Hopefully we can help each other out. I've not ever raced against Brent. I don't think Brent's done a lot of BSB. So for me and Ash, hopefully we can get him going and hopefully have all three of us at the front. Because obviously teammates, if you can work together, is ideal. Because obviously when you want to put a fast lap in two of each other, it's brilliant. In a race, if you can work together, it's brilliant. So if we can all gel together and make our Suzukis go faster, happy days.
Indeed. Well, there we go. Thank you for coming on the Superbike show. I believe it's your first time, it's your debut, I think. I believe it is, I think. I'll say yes. Anyway. Oh, my God.
Just want to show everyone my new little girl before I go off. Little Mabel, as we've called her now. She's absolutely sound now. So just thought I'd show everyone before I pop off.
We've bored her and put her to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sound out. She doesn't wake up, so it's ideal.
Oh, well, and if she does wake up, you can't blame us. But
no, that's fine.
but thank you anyway for coming on the Superbike show on Motorsport Radio. Luke, we will catch up with you during the season, see maybe after the season as well, just see whether that matched up to your expectations at this point in time in the year, maybe. But very best of luck, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'll catch you later.
All right. Speak soon. Thank you. It is the Superbike show. This is Motorsport Radio, and we will continue with some more fantastic guests and some more chit-chat coming up next.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Yes, and we are live on this Saturday night, a rare Saturday night Superbike show here on Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in. Right, we've not even had time to fully sort of debrief from that chat there, Tristan, because we're bringing our next guest on, which I think is only wise because we told him 9 o'clock, and he is here. It is Tristan, I'll let you introduce our next guest.
From one guest to another, brilliant to have Simon Buckmaster coming onto the show, of course, former GP rider and team boss at the PTR team for as long as I can remember. We've had both his riders on, Brandon Pash and Carl Smith, but now we have the man himself. Simon, how are we?
Yeah, we're not bad, not so bad.
It's awesome to have you on the show. Awesome to see you back in the British paddock as well with this new opportunity. How are you feeling going into this?
Yeah, good. It's been quite a lot of work. You know, you start with like a complete new bike. That obviously, as a road bike, is an unfair bike. So it's been a lot of work to get it all together. But we're nearly there now, and everyone's like really excited and looking forward to the opportunity.
How did it come about, this opportunity? Where did it all begin?
Let me think about that. Well, I'll tell you how it began. I think it was the Aragon rounds that were back to back. I was having a chat with Gregorio Lavia, and he said, "Oh, why do you always stay loyal to Honda? You know, why don't you consider another manufacturer? Because we're looking at adapting the rules." And then I said, "Oh, okay, yeah." And I spoke to Scott Smart, and he said, "Yeah, that's true." And and he gave me the contacts at Triumph at Steve Sargent, and I emailed Steve, and he replied the next day. And then within not much more than a month, within a month, then 2 tops to actually get it signed and done, we'd agreed that we'd all be working together for at least the next 2 years. So that's great. And then obviously the downside of that was, then they decided not to change the rules for 2021. And I had a word with Stuart Higgs, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll make it happen." So fair play to Stuart and MSVR. They've been fantastic, and yeah, we are looking forward to being in the British Championship. You know, this I think it'd be really good this year. I think it'd be a difficult year in World Championship. Obviously, in this country, the vaccine rollout's going really well, but not so well in other European countries. So I think we'll run all 11 rounds in England, hopefully with as many spectators as possible, and I think it'd be a really good season.
What's your goals for this season? Now, obviously, I mean, everything's new. It's sort of a bit of an unknown territory. But what are you expecting?
Honestly, obviously, we have to expect to win. I think we've got two of the best riders in the series. Brandon's like, I think he just turned 20 the other day. He's just won the Daytona 200 coming to Britain. That's really good for us as a team and all the British fans. And Carl, I know very well, he's ridden for me in 2016, again in 18. It's great to be back together with him. He's a race winner at world level. Although he is British, obviously he's lived in Spain since he was 6, and he's only actually done one of the tracks. But we'll do all the 4 tests before the season, maybe get out at Cadwell, maybe just on a track. We'll try and do a track day at Cadwell just as a shakedown ahead of the first 2 days of testing at Silverstone. So I'm sure Carl will be a force. I'm sure Brandon will be a force, and I think it'll be a great season. But our goal has to be to win. We have the support of Triumph. We have like we've done the ECU mapping last week in Italy. We can see the potential of the bike. Our goal has to be to win.
With everything being so new, especially the tracks being new to Kyle, the bike being new to yourselves and to the championship, how much work do you think that's going to take to be able to win, and how much more work compared to your competitors will you have to put in?
Well, obviously, significantly more work to our competitors. Yeah. If you're running an R6 or ZX6, I think they run with the 636 engine, but all those other teams, all their bikes, they've been running in the British Series for a few years now. Robin Appleyard's team has dominated the last 2 years. They've done a fantastic job. So obviously more work than them, but we're an experienced team. Yep. It still has to be our goal to win the championship.
For sure. And I'm obviously seeing this new project unfold as well. It'll be brilliant for everyone to see how that will pan out. Obviously, you as well, moving from Worlds back to BSB. What's it like to be moving across?
It's great. Like I said, Stuart Higgs has been fantastic with us. I've known Stuart for many years. I haven't personally worked in BSB since 2007. 2008, we started the team as Park Elgar Honda, and we've been in World Championship every year since then. This will be our 14th season as a team. But yeah, MSVR have been very accommodating. We're working in conjunction with Dorna and the FIM as a sort of, with Triumph, as a team that's working with the organisers and the FIM to develop the new rules.
Once this was announced, I'm sure you had many riders eager to throw their leg over the Triumph. What decisions? Why Brandon and Kyle is essentially what I'm trying to ask.
Kyle's the easiest one of that. I'd worked with him before. He's a fantastic lad. I'm sure all the British fans will love him. He gives 100% every time. He's just a fantastic guy to work with. He's got a lovely family. He's just a really nice guy and a fast guy. So that was easy. Yeah, we'd worked together before. I knew that he hadn't got a ride. And to be honest, I believed he was the man for us. Brandon, is something I'd be honest, discussed with Stuart Higgs. We did look at. It's obvious that many people, some people, was criticise us and say, why haven't you gone for a young British rider? We did talk to some British riders, but the ones that we singled out that we considered that would be good for this project all had other opportunities. Brandon, obviously American market's very important market for Triumph. Brandon's an exciting young talent, and I do believe it will bring something to the British Series, as I hope we will as a Triumph team. I believe we will. I think with us and Brandon and Carl, I think we'll bring something to the series, hopefully, to make it more exciting for the fans and a really good Super Sport Championship and the whole Superbike series.
Do you think they both have what it takes to win? Do you think they'll both be sort of at that same level, battling each other?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, obviously, Brandon does know the tracks because he won the Moto3 Championship in 2019. Yeah. Carl's a more experienced rider. I think that they'll bring a really good balance. And yeah, of course, I believe and I won't say expect, because I believe that both of them can fight at the front of this championship to challenge for the title. Yeah, I do.
Of course, and obviously that's what everyone is there for, and it's a brilliant opportunity for them as well, and possibly for British riders in the future. How much factory involvement is there from Triumph themselves?
Triumph have been fantastic in every way. The engine spec we're running is the Moto2 spec. Like I said, we did some development in Italy last year, and looking at the performance of the bike, it's right there. It's the aim is not our aim. The aim of developing the new rules is not to come here and have a bike that's miles better than anyone else's. The idea is to balance it against, if you say, the considered leading bike in Supersport at the minute, which is the R6. It's not to just have a free hand, because obviously with a free hand and 165cc more, we would have a much better bike than theirs. The idea is to look at the dirt. That's why it went to Italy, to a place called RE Engineering, who've had R6s, top R6s, ZX6. I believe they've had the MV and the Ducati 900 twin on their facility. So Scott Smart can clearly see what needs to be done, and he has put a lot of work into this. So at the end of the day, as much as possible, all the bikes come to a level playing field for all manufacturers challenging to try and win the title, and the best team and the best riders have to win, and you can't have a better formula than that.
For sure, and obviously it's going to be difficult going straight into it, putting a new bike out there and figuring out where it's going to be in terms of other bikes. Obviously, we saw in World Supersport 300 where it took a bit of time for them to bring all the bikes sort of level. Do you think there's going to be much work into that, or is there going to be much changing of regulations as the season goes on?
Again, Stuart and I have discussed this. Certain events, Frank Rathloff has his dyno there. So at any point, let's say that all things go the way I'd like them to, and Carl and Brandon are winning the races, and everyone's thinking, it's not fair. But we'll be able to at any time put our bike and the other leading bikes on the same dyno on the same day, and say, look, you can clearly see that performance-wise these machines are balanced. Whoever's winning, obviously, if you say Robin Appleyard's team have dominated at least the last 2 years, but because their bike's better than everybody else's, no, that Robin and his team have just done a better job, and fair play to them. And it's our job to come now and take the title off them.
For sure, and it's definitely game on. It'll definitely be an interesting year, and obviously best of luck to you guys for that as well. Obviously, the aim for the project is obviously to take it to World Supersport. So obviously, you as a team, you're aiming to take that step and bring it over to World Championship as well.
That's our aim. That's Triumph's aim, and and again, to say a big thanks to MSVR and Stuart Higgs for giving us the opportunity to work with them. Actually, I have to say, I've never known in all my years in racing a situation like this where you have MSVR, and at times has been in competition with World Superbike, if you like, and Dorna. Yeah. Now we have MSVR and Dorna and the FIM and us as a team all working together for the good of the sport, and I'm genuinely proud to be part of that.
And that's brilliant to hear as well, obviously as well, with the lack of British riders out there in World Supersport. And to what my belief isn't that's because we have, or the British riders have a lack of talent to be there. It's more sort of opportunity based. Do you think this will give an opportunity for British riders to be able to make that step over to Worlds?
I'd like to see that. I've always been very partisan, and where possible, we've always tried to give young British riders a chance. It was our team that gave Sam Lowe's his chance in World Supersport. Yeah. When we brought Eugene Laverty when he wasn't having a great time in 250 GPs back into World Supersport, and I'm proud of both those cases. So that's always been our aim, or my personal aim. Triumph is a British company, and I hope that anything we does helps. Again, working with MSVR to see young British talent flourish.
Mm-hmm. Do you think as well, because that's one thing that gets sort of talked a lot about in World Supersport is budgets and funding and that support. Do you think because now with some factory support behind this and a lot of support going into the revitalisation of the class, will there be an easier step for riders in terms of budgets as well to take it to Worlds?
I think we all have to, the COVID-19 situation has had a big hit on everyone. Yes, I hope so, but obviously not everybody uses COVID as an excuse for lots of things, but that is a factor. You can't get away from it. That is a factor. Yes, I hope it does. I truly feel personally, and I know Triumph in it, and I think everybody hopes it does, but we all have to realise that if you're talking about support and money makes the world go round. There's no two ways about it. For sure, for all of us, it's not the easiest time at the moment. We know that, but we can only do the best we can and go forward in the best way we can.
We hear a lot about, how riders are struggling to bring those budgets to the teams, or how we've spoke a lot, especially on this show, about what riders need to do to be able to bring those budgets to the teams. What's it like from flipping the coin? What's it like from the team's perspective? Because obviously, if a team could give a rider a free ride, a paid ride, or whatever, obviously they would. What's it like in these times for a team trying to put a budget together for a season?
It's harder than it was. Like I said, you can't get away from that, and the same for the riders. And I know we all would just like to see purely talent as the only factor in the sport, but it's not. There's no getting away from the fact. I know in the past people criticised us for allowing riders to bring back into the team, but now we were probably one of the earlier teams to do that, if you want, a lot of years ago now. But now, because of the situation, nearly every team is doing it, and I'm not just talking. We're not talking just British Championship or World Supersport. In Moto 2, in Moto 3, in MotoGP even, and in all forms of motorsport. I think as a riders, as packages, if a rider has, if you've got an advantage, you use it. So if you as a rider realise that it's not just about if I'm fast, people will be queuing up and my phone will be ringing off the hook. To realise, and I never, people talk about pay rides. I never ever look at it like that. And all it is everybody working together for the common good. That's it.
For sure. And obviously, we spoke a little bit about on this channel, especially about how it is now more difficult than what it was before. Why would you say that is, from your experiences in the paddock?
What's more difficult?
Raising budgets and funding.
We'll come back to the COVID situation. If it wasn't for the situation of COVID, I don't think it is more difficult than before. It's always been difficult for the teams, for the riders to all working together to be the team that tries to win. I think it's always been the situation as it is. And obviously in the times we're in now, it's harder. We all know that, and we will have to be as budget conscious as we can be to put the best possible package together to challenge to be the best. For sure. You've been you and the PTR team have been the only, I'd say, consistent British team in World Supersport for a long time now. What's that been like? It's been good. Like I said, we've had a lot of success. As Honda team, there's only 10 cars have been more successful than us. And I said, not to keep saying it, but I'm proud of what we achieved together with Sam Lowes, with Eugene Laverty as British riders, with Jules Cluzel, with Carl Smith, also British rider. The races we won, we never actually got to. We came so close to winning the championship with Laverty twice. With Cluzel, with Sam finished third with us in his second year. And when the first race he did, because he lost by 3,000th of a second, I think it was, in Phillip Island. So we're proud of all the success, and we are. We're proud of all the successes we've had. We'd like to be world champions this year. We'd like to be British champions, and hopefully then go back to world championship and go one better than we have done in the past.
For sure, and we see a lot of British teams. They sort of set up camp in BSB and stick there for a while. Why for you? Why Worlds and not BSB?
Because my aim when I was a rider, it was like this, and as a team owner, team manager, you always want to compete. If I had an option, I don't think there's many people would say different. If you had an option, you'd be in MotoGP challenging for the MotoGP world title. So my aim has always been to try and compete at the highest level possible, personally.
Do you see yourself, or obviously you're never going to take it out or think of it as something that's not possible, but do you see it as something feasible that you could eventually, obviously, this is a project you're focusing on now, but could you ever see PTI ever venturing into the Superbike class?
Again, of course, it was something we'd love to do, because you want to compete at another higher level, or even Moto2. So, like I said, it's been a joy to work with Triumph and all of us and getting this together, and if we did go Superbike, it'd be nice if we could one day maybe do it with Triumph, for sure. Of course, we would like to compete in World Superbike, but our aim has to be to do the best we can and win at this level first, and then to try and win at world level in Supersport and see what opportunities come from there.
And yourself as well. Obviously, you've had your own successes in your career in riding yourself. Just talk us through like a little bit about what you've achieved at World Championship level. Obviously, your podiums at World Championship level and all sorts. Just talk us through sort of where you came from as well.
The people will be bored with that. I started racing when I was 16 on a Triumph Bonneville. This is another reason why now to be with this Triumph project is actually as a personal thing. I have a huge history with Honda, as everybody knows, and it was a shame to not, in a lot of ways, to not be able to, when Honda's brought this updated bike out for them, but they only had it out in age, to not be able to do it. But on the flip side of that, to now be the team that's developing the new Triumph, having started racing on Triumphs, is a really good feeling. Again, another thing I'm really proud to be able to be involved in. From my own side, without going into it forever, I won races at national level. We won at European Championship level, and you were talking about the podium in GPs. In the best year, I finished 12th in the World Championship and comfortably the top privateer. I won at World Endurance level. So, I mean, you can always say you could have done better, and it's easy to, you can always look back and think, I could have done that better, I could have done that different. Yeah. But I think what I did in my own riding career has been an asset to me now in team management, to help to understand riders, to work with the riders, to get the best out of them and the best for the whole team.
When you first made that switch, was that always something that, because obviously when you're in your racing career, that's what you focused on, your own racing. Was it ever something in the back of your mind? Was it always planned that, once your own racing career was over, you'd then venture into team? Was that something that was always planned?
Well, it didn't quite pan out like that. My racing career was finished by a huge crash at the Bulldog, which when I lost my left foot, but that's a long time past. So that happened, and then after that, once I got over that, which wasn't a short thing, because there was a huge damage to my knee as well from that. First of all, I was working in actually setting up Derby dealerships throughout the UK from a friend of mine, a long-time friend of mine. He used to race with me, called Wayne Mitchell, and then Harris got the job to run the Suzuki factory in World Superbike. Now I have a huge history with Harris Performance. Steve Bayford, Stephen Lester Harris, I would consider personal friends. I remember I've known them. Well, I've known them since 1980. So when that happened, and they lived, I'm from St Albans in Hertfordshire, they're from Hertford. When they got that job, I was chatting to Lester, and basically I became his assistant. And then when they lost that contract, Colin Wright went to run that GSE team, and Kawasaki asked me to go and manage from there. And it just kind of evolved from there. But it wasn't a plan, because I didn't plan my retirement. It just happened. Yeah. Then always having had a passion for motorcycle racing and the sport, when the management opportunities came along, it was really good to get involved on the other, I wouldn't say the other side of the fence, but to help to work with riders to get the best rather than be the rider. So it's an involvement from that, but it certainly wasn't planned. No.
No, for sure. And a lot of things in racing you can never really plan. I feel like a lot of the opportunities sort of just sort of come about, and things never really happen the way that you expect a lot of the time. Sometimes for better or for worse. When you actually ventured into running a team and that side of things, was it what you expected? Was there any sort of was your career yourself? Would you say that at any point sort of held you back, in that you knew what it was like on one side, and that sort of held you back from the other side, if that makes sense.
Well, no, I wouldn't say held you back. Obviously, you have to, as a rider, it's okay, you have to probably most very successful riders inherently are quite selfish, because you have to be.
Yeah.
And on the management side, you have to think of the team. I mean, not the riders, of course riders think of the team, but they want to win for themselves as well as for the team. When you manage a team, you have to want to win and do it for everybody and help everybody to be their best. So it is completely different, but I wouldn't say riding held me back. I would say it enhanced it.
In what ways would you say that it helps you out?
Because you have an understanding. If you're working with riders, you understand in a lot, even though it's a long while ago. The basics of motorcycle racing don't change. And so you have an understanding of how the rider feels. And I think as an ex-rider, I'm not saying obviously there has been successful managers that haven't been successful riders. Colin White, as an example, who was a great manager. But there's quite a lot to have. And I do get it helps you to understand and get the best out of your riders. Yeah,
for sure. And obviously that team relationship is always a really important thing as well. And obviously from a rider's perspective, that team relationship with your team is always really important, and the same the other way around.
Yeah, to be successful in motorcycle racing, you need a really good rider, a really good bike, really good staff, and as management, you have to organise everything so it just flows from when they get to the events, and it all has to work like that. If you miss one piece of that jigsaw, you're never going to get to the top. You can have the best rider in the world and a really good bike, but if as a team you're not functioning in the proper way, you're still not going to win.
Yeah, for sure. And has there ever been, any point in any season where there was perhaps one thing that didn't quite click into place, and that held the effort back as a whole?
Most things that normally hold it back are not enough money to do the things you need to do, to be honest. You can't, instead of looking at what might hold you back, you need to look at, okay, and even people make mistakes, everybody must make mistakes. That can be a rider, that can be as a manager, can be a technician, a crew chief, anyone in the whole team can make a mistake. What you mustn't do is allow yourself to get involved in some sort of blame culture where it's got to be someone's fault. Obviously, it is someone's fault.
Yeah.
But the way around that is, okay, that happened. What can we all do collectively as a unit to stop that happening again and be better?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a cliche, but it is a team sport.
No, it definitely is. Obviously, the riders get all the acclaim, but you have to, like I said before, every piece of the jigsaw has to work.
Yeah.
But I know when I've done my job properly, the easiest part of racing for me is the events. Because you get there and you've got everything together and it all works for the people and just flows. If you're running around like here, there, and everywhere trying to make it all get together, that's because you didn't plan properly before you got there in most cases.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing a lot of people on the sidelines don't realise as well, is actually how much preparation goes into the end before you actually get there, and how much on the rider side and on the team side goes into these things. But it's been brilliant to have you on, Simon. Thanks a lot for joining us on the Superbike show tonight. It's been brilliant to have a name like you on the show, and also to hear about this new project. It's an exciting thing with Triumph, and an exciting thing for the sport and for the class especially. So thanks a lot for coming on.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on. And it's good to talk to the people, the viewers, listeners. I don't know, what do we call them on anyone ever wants to come up and ask me things at race events, feel free to. We like to meet the people. We like to make it as good as possible for the fans. So thank you for having me.
That's perfect. We wish you best of the luck for the season, and thanks a lot for coming on again.
Thank you.
Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Wow, there we go. Simon Buckmaster. Fantastic insight from him. All about, we heard about his own racing career and what life's like running a team. And it's good insights there, Tristan. That's well done. Good chat with him. Biggest takeaways really from your chat with him there.
Definitely, this new project, this Triumph thing it's exciting in all respects because it's rejuvenating the class. It's a brand new, and we're seeing Triumph coming back, which for us as British racers and British fans is incredible to see. So that project, and also that the opportunities, like you mentioned, that this could actually be a stepping stone for British riders to step into World Supersport.
Yeah, definitely. We have already interviewed his. I think all of his riders.
Both his riders, yeah.
Yeah, so far this year, or very recently, anyway. I forget which. But obviously we will be paying close attention and monitoring their and the team's progress throughout 2021. This is the Superbike Show. It's Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. My name is Lester. Tristan Finocchiaro still here, and we've got a couple of other things still before we go that we need to get through. I'm just having a quick look of some messages that have flooded in. Thank you, by the way, to everyone who has been in touch already. There's a bit of news that I didn't actually have time to bring earlier, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, Tristan, if I could, possibly. But that is regarding some livery unveilings that have happened recently. Not that many, probably more. I've probably forgotten more than what there actually has been. But this will work really well, fantastically well for radio, obviously. It won't, but still, you can check it out on our social media channels, exactly what I'm talking about. I suppose we can describe how sexy these following liveries are, or very ugly. We'll have to use our words to describe them. Let me have a press of the old button here and get the old thing going here. So, first of all, in World Superbikes, and the team Go 11, their new bike with a new sponsor as well, Aruba.it, former with I think they were with Ducati, weren't they? They've now moved over to Team Go 11. On first glance, I'm not a fan of the livery.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it looks a little bit less is more for me on a livery, to be perfectly honest.
I think with the Aruba.it thing, I think that's brilliant because that sort of shows that there is, because Aruba.it is still sponsoring Ducati, and obviously with this being a satellite Ducati team, this is showing that there is sort of there is coercion there. It's a little bit. It's not full factory team, but there's a bit obviously with one of their riders that has been factory for so long moving to that team, and the team doing so well last year.
Coercion and synergy. Don't ever say synergy. I hate that word.
Well, there's plenty of synergy between the factory team and the satellite Go 11, and I think that's one thing that's brilliant to see. But yeah, the bike itself I think looks brilliant. I like it.
It doesn't look bad.
Did you see the bike last year?
I can't remember what it looked like last year.
I think it's an improvement. I mean, because it's completely different. I think that's what caught my eye, is it's completely different to how it was last year. How would you describe
this current year's bike? It looks similar to... It's got like shades of the Leopard.
Oh, yeah, I knew you were going to say that. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. It does. I'm assuming that colour scheme, because it was completely different last year, and that was their colour scheme last year had been like that for quite a while. I'm assuming this colour scheme is down to a new sponsor, and I'm assuming it's the one sort of above the Aruba.it. Can't quite make out what it is.
The name thing was no, I can't remember. I don't want to say, but Yeah, I saw it earlier. I've forgotten. Libra or something. I don't know.
Libra, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure what they do, but yeah, I'm assuming that's what that's down to. But I think it looks brilliant. I think, to be fair, I think any livery on a Ducati pretty much looks good. But their livery last year looked a bit busy, and there's a lot of colours in it. A hell of a lot of colours. Any
livery on a Ducati looks great.
Maybe I'm just biased because I've got Italian family and heritage.
Well, okay. Fair enough. Okay, so to describe that bike, I think it was announced recently, last couple of days. Anyway, I just thought of a little scan of bike unveilings, and apologies if there's been some that I've missed, and there probably is. But I did a very brief look around before the show, and these are the few that I could find. On to the next one. I think it's Chaz Davis on that Go 11 bike this year, isn't it?
Yes, yeah,
Chaz Davis. And just Chaz Davis?
Just Chaz Davis, yeah. One bike team. One bike team.
That's what I thought. Yeah, sure. Also, what's the next one? Here we go. An interesting second livery. The Moto 2, I believe. Yes, it is the Elf Mark VDS livery, which is looking... I like this. It's a bit simple. It's kind of got a maroon... not maroon, how would you call it? Like a dark red? I don't know. And with a yellow panther thing on the side. I like it. It's good. It's simple.
If I'm being kind, I think it's nicer than what they had last year, because those colours with the Estrella Galizia and the Mark VDS colours just don't go together at all. But I think that's mainly down to the fact that the Mark VDS colours and logo and everything, the way it's all been put on, is just a bit ugly in general, in my personal opinion. But it seems like we disagree a little bit, because you like the other one and I don't like this one.
Well, we're allowed to disagree. I mean, this isn't the internet. But anyway. But yes, I think it is Augusto Fernandez and Sam Lowe's on this bike in Moto 2, and just having a look. Yeah. Slightly better angle of Fernandez crouching next to the bike, and it really does bring out the... I'm going to say that's maroon colour.
Something like that. I mean, you can see it on his face. He's laughing at what's the terrible livery they've brought out.
It looks decent, and also the sponsor is quite prominent and not too like busy sponsors like the what was it, the Go 11 bike. Tons of little sponsors busy. at the bike. I kind of. Yeah, when things get a bit.
But you've got to get that done. You've got to get that done if you're a team.
I mean, in some ways,
that's how you make
good,
money.
It's good for the team, but it's. But hey ho, and Sam Lowe's also with his crouching next to the bike as well. So you hate it?
Yeah, I think that's safe. So hate is a strong word. Hate is a strong word. But yeah, I aggressively dislike it.
So you hate it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But and I suppose if you ever did get a chance to jump on the bike, you would love it immediately. I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if there's a Mark VDS contract going, then it's I love that livery.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, I wanted to go back and touch on some of the other talking points from MotoGP that we didn't have actual time to because we were busy waffling amongst ourselves, talking about calendars and stuff. We mentioned Marc Marquez on a bike. Did we finish talking about everything regarding him? It's basically up to him, isn't it, when he decides to come back?
Yeah. I mean, he started off. We saw that video of him testing a mini bike. I think it was like I think it was one of those ovales or something similar, something like that. He was testing around a little kart track in Spain, and he didn't look like he was in much pain, honestly, from the video on it. But
well, he never does. But.
And it was incredible. He looked really good on it, considering he hadn't been on a bike in ages. But obviously, you don't know what he was feeling. Don't know how long he lasted. Straight after that, he actually flew out to Qatar, had his first vaccination, and then flew back out to Spain to ride on ride on the RCV. Obviously, did 2 days at Barcelona, 1 day at Portimao in Portugal. Rode the RCV 213VS, I believe it's called. Yeah, absolutely. It's very similar to a GP bike. I think it's based on like the 2013, 2014 Honda GP bike, the RCV GP bike that they had out then. It's basically a road moto GP bike, and he's been on that, testing out his arm, and still deciding if he's going to come back. From what I've heard on the line, it looks as if that he's trying to come back for one of the Qatar rounds, but it's still to be decided, and no one knows. Well,
he should listen to me, because not that my opinion's worth much, but I mean, nobody will blame him. He's got a decent excuse and yada yada, COVID and all that.
He's definitely putting more thought into it than he did at Jerez, where he completely made, in my opinion, one of the worst decisions he's ever made, coming back and destroying his arm. So I absolutely see where you're coming from, but at the same time, he's putting a lot of thought into it. He's putting a lot of effort into it.
Shows maturity to hold back, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd like to see him learn from his mistake and maybe not reach for windows so far.
Wouldn't it just be amazing though if he unfortunately missed more than a few rounds, but when he came back, he didn't do like a Lorenzo when, in sort of fade away into oblivion. He actually just made straight away on it at the front again and challenging for wins and winning things and upsetting the apple cart and actually coming down to a big showdown finale at the end of the season, level on points.
I wouldn't put it past him. I
can see that happening. I might put a bet on that, actually.
As much as, I don't want to wish injury on anyone, it was a lot better without him there. It was just more entertaining. I'm sorry, it was. Because when you don't have that, you've got the Ray effect in World Superbikes where he goes out and wins everything and it's boring. And you got Marquez goes out, wins everything, it's boring. As soon as he's gone, what's the best year of GP we've had for a long time? It's been good. GP has been good with Marquez there, don't get me wrong. But last year it was
boring.
Yeah, it's boring to see.
I know what you mean, though. It's
yeah.
For Formula One fans as well.
Exactly.
When Lewis Hamilton had his one race out because he got COVID, and then George Russell came into the car, and everyone was so excited again, and George Russell's suddenly going to win the race, and oh my God, it's so exciting again. And then Hamilton came back the following race.
And as a bike fan and obviously bike rider, that was one of the only Formula One races I watched last year because it was actually entertaining.
Well, yeah, because we didn't know it wasn't going to be the same old boring, Lewis Hamilton.
But then again, when it's not Lewis Hamilton, and then maybe the next step is it's George Russell, it'll just be boring again because it'll just be George Russell winning all the time. It's exciting now, but it won't be exciting when he's winning all the time. So that leads me on to ask, who's the George Russell of MotoGP? Who's the rider that's on a bike where if you put him on a better bike, he'll win everything, is what you're trying to ask. I don't think... If Marquez needs more time off or someone else can step up... last year was strange for everyone, but this year will be the true test. Is Marquez going to do it, stay on it, or fade into oblivion? Or who's the new king? It could be a make or break. It could be a make or break season for Marquez because if he doesn't come back strong, this injury could really kill him. But I don't really think there's that parallel there with F1 and GP because if let's say in Formula One you're in the Williams, you don't have a chance. If you're in the Mercedes, you've got a very strong chance. I wouldn't really say that there's any bike out there, maybe the Aprilia, that you have absolutely, but even the Aprilia's looking good now, although they did say that last year, but that's a whole nother debate. But I didn't say there's a ride in GP where you have absolutely no chance. I think if you have talent in the GP class, whatever bike you're on, it'll shine in some way or another. Just look at Zarco. There was a team that did nothing, and then Zarco was on the bike, and you could see there was talent there. Okay. We're talking about Aprilia. Dovizioso is going to be doing at least one test or only one test
at Jerez next month. Did Brad Smith know this? If we caught up with him, I think he was on the show 2 weeks ago, the last time we were on, and he was saying that, things are pretty much very strange at the moment, but there's been this development. Things are looking even worse from a racing perspective for the young Brit Smith. But Dovey with Aprilia, I mean, is he wasting his time there? Why would he do that? And what could he possibly get out of it?
I mean, at the moment, it's only one test. That's all that he's agreed to, is one test on the 2021 bike at Jerez next month. That's all he's agreed to at the moment. Obviously, last year it was quite well known that he turned down the offer. Blatantly would rather have taken a sabbatical than ride for Aprilia, is basically the message that he put out there. And now it's all turned around. Maybe now, because he's seen in testing Espargaro did well, the Aprilia is looking better than it was. Now he's sort of thinking, maybe I can give that Aprilia thing a go. It basically just looks like a Ducati with Aprilia written on it this year. So perhaps he's thinking, let's give it a go. No strings attached for this first test. Let's see how it goes. Because I think even the Aprilia Racing CEO said that it was nothing binding. It was just, in his words, an opportunity to spin laps together. Which, I mean, obviously they're thinking they want Dovey, and Dovey's just thinking, we'll see. Let's see how this goes. But he might not have any other options. That's the thing, because there's so little seats, so many riders.
He's basically seen or trying to find out exactly just how good that package is,
or how not good it is.
So I suppose from his point of view, if he gets on the thing and then tests it, then it's as bad as some other people think it is, then he's got that option of saying, well, listen, it was only just one test and that's all, it was never going to be anything more. But if it's better than what he might think it is, then obviously, conversations can happen and stuff. So,
he might see potential if he's on a bike where he's riding the wheels off it, and then he's thinking, okay, this needs improvement in these areas. He might very well think, I know exactly what this bike needs, and I'm going to bring that to the team, and then maybe there might be something going forward into further down the line. Then that could possibly be an option for him. But then if he gets on the bike and it's a complete train wreck and there's nothing that he thinks he can salvage from it, then I'm assuming he'll just say no.
And then what? Will Superbikes?
Well, maybe there's so many riders that you could say that, I wish I could see them in World Superbikes, like Bradley Smith for an example. Everyone was like, you'd go well on a Superbike, Brad. He said it himself, didn't he, that people are telling him that he'd go well because he did well in Suzuka 8 Hours.
Well, he never said no, and he sort of left the door open for next year.
Yeah, I don't blame him if he wants to ride. He could be at the front. He's a solid rider, and we've seen what MotoGP riders can do in World Superbike. When Bautista came in and at the beginning annihilated the field, and he wasn't even he was a good rider, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't Marquez, and he wasn't a front runner at GP.
Even Aprilia refugees, like Scott Redding, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Scott, who's had his career finished by Aprilia in GP, has now resalvaged it.
Finished. Kibosh on his career. Anyway,
well, there was talk of opportunities for him to go back to GP on a Ducati, but I'm not sure. I believe that would ever be feasible, if I'm honest.
Maybe the Jay King, when he's asking his quick questions, always likes to ask, what would you prefer, like a World Superbike? I forget exactly what he asks. Sorry, Jay.
World Superbike title or a GP race win? Is his question.
So perhaps Scott Redding could realistically someday be in a position to actually ask himself that. Would I prefer to win a World Superbike Championship or challenge for the maybe distant possibility of going back into GP sometime and doing something probably not with Aprilia, but you never know. So, yeah, I don't know. Watch this space. Anything, especially with Scott Redding, could happen. Coming back over here, though, there's other news as well that emerged over the past couple of days or this week. Mason Law and the Spirit Moto Corsa team now completed their lineup for the GP2 Championship, the Quattro Group British GP2 Championship. Tell us more.
Yeah, recently announced that, like you say, Mason Law is going to be staying in that team, the Spirit Motorcorsa team, and is going to be joined by Jamie Perrin, who we've seen in the championship for a while now. So they're going to be, trying to defend that title for the Spirit Motorcorsa team. Obviously, Mason Law is the reigning champion in that category. So that's big news for that championship for sure. And Perrin said that he's going to be looking to fight for the championship as well. He said to be joining the team that's come straight off the back of winning the championship is obviously a great opportunity for him. And obviously the aim for him is going to be to win the GP2 championship. It's a team that's capable because they've done it. They've got the champion, the reigning champion, and a rider that's going out to win it. So it'll be interesting to see between those two if Perrin can come in and stick it to Mason, or if there's going to be another surprise somewhere else in GP2. But no, it's good news for Perrin, it's good news for Mason, it's good news for the championship.
Yeah, and good luck. I've absolutely no idea what will happen in that. I didn't give my predictions on the show a couple of weeks ago because I don't know, to be honest.
It's a hard championship to keep on top of, to be honest, GP2, because there's a lot that goes on in it.
Yeah. There you go.
Especially when there's
I have no opinion on that. Yeah. Regarding other bit of news as well, I think this might have been ended last week, I can't quite remember, but the Appleyard Macadam Yamaha Academy.
Yeah, that's fresh news. Yeah, fresh news. Yesterday or the day before.
Bit of a mouthful, but
yeah, the Appleyard Macadam Yamaha Academy. It's a good thing they put the Yamaha at the end and not the beginning. Those be the Macadam Academy. Might be a bit of a mouthful, like you say. Yeah, but yeah, newly formed academy from that team. Obviously, the strongest team in super sports at the moment, having won 3 times in a row, possibly 4. I think 3. 3 times in a row, obviously reigning champions in that class, and always seem to be putting out really strong machinery. And now they are developing the young talent, which is exactly what we need to see to be able to see British riders moving forward, and to be able to see the British racing community, the British racing community moving forward and really and pushing where they need to be. And it's newly formed, like we said. The academy's initially going to be helping riders in the junior superstock class, so the superstock 600 for those who haven't quite cottoned onto to all the new names yet. So the superstock 600 categories, there's going to be the 2 riders, Jack Nixon and Charlie Farrer. Jack Nixon obviously did a year last year in the class. Charlie Farrer, a complete newbie to the category. And obviously, I mean, their whole sort of ethos at the moment is developing young talent. That we saw they did it with Rory Skinner this year. It paid off. They're bringing in Pyrian Irwin, who we've had on the show not so long ago. Yeah. They're using the Yamaha R6, which is the best super sport bike at the moment. We'll see what happens with the Yamaha, with the Triumphs and Ducatis. So that's a perfect opportunity for young riders. And there's going to be, they've said that there's going to be Appleyard Macadam technicians that will give regular support to these riders on and off track, and pre-race setup each race weekend as well. So that's a brilliant opportunity. When I saw it, I thought that is brilliant for the sport. That's exactly what we need, is a team like this investing and putting their efforts into young talent. Obviously they're doing that with Piri, Irwin, Nixon and Farrer at the moment. They did it with Skinner. Brad Jones was one of their prodigies as well that's come through their team. He was with them in stock So similar to this, actually, riding for them in Stock 600, then in Super Sport, and now look at him, he's got himself a Superbike ride as well. So these sort of teams, these sort of approaches, even what Simon was trying to set up as well, that he was talking about on the show earlier. We're seeing a lot more of that at the moment, and it's good to see.
Absolutely, yeah, it's definitely good. Charlie Farah, I will say, one to watch, definitely, this year. I mean, he's I don't want to put too much pressure on the lad, but I think he's 18 now. He's not that young, I don't think. I don't actually know how old he is, but he's definitely talented, and he could do a good job straight away. Probably, possibly, maybe.
Superstock 600 this year, or Junior Superstock as it's called now, is looking really, really strong for this year. Like, there is a lot of names that
you're going to have to watch out.
Yeah, exactly. That's my worry. That is my worry. It's looking really fierce this year.
I'm actually looking forward to watching a lot of argy-bargy, because let's be honest, there will be in that class, and then bringing them on the show a couple of days later. And
as long as there's no hard feelings, then you can bring on who you want,
and then you and whomever can talk it out about what happened at the weekend.
Oh, well, I'm sure there'll be plenty of that throughout the year. There always is.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing there's no politics in the paddock anyway. So
yeah.
Never. A couple of hello, by the way, to everyone still tuned in to this special Saturday Night Live episode of the Superbike show. Glenn Thompson been on earlier, and Chris Jones as well still on. I think I wrongly attributed a question from one of you two. Sorry, by the way, but it got asked. Whoever asked it. Andrew Hall, hello. To you and Luke Hedger, he's also tuning in. Wasn't he on the show already? Hello anyway, Luke. Yes, great to have you on the show. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe whenever we're live, or just the Motorsport Radio social channels, wherever you find them. It's at Motorsport Radio on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are on Twitch. I don't very promote it that much often. Oh, we're on TikTok as well. Yay! That's good. I promise I won't be dancing on it at least till the season starts anyway.
Well, that's that. You've lost all of your following now, Lester.
Oh, my 2 followers on TikTok, one of which is me and my stalker probably. But anyway, yes. There we go. End of the show. Nice way to wrap up, I suppose. Big MotoGP preview next week. We'll get properly into it. Who deserves to win the first round at Qatar? Should Marquez come back? Will Rossi, do whatever Rossi does, or will he be different this year and actually retire, maybe? And will Quartararo win everything? Because he should, and he probably will, because he's amazing. That's my prediction.
You really like him, don't you?
Just wait and see. This time next week, plus a few days, we'll find out that I'm right. Anyway, okay. But yeah, there you go. Thank you very much. It's been a special Saturday night edition, and to answer our own question about, I wonder why more people don't do Saturday night live streams. Well, I think we know the answer. Because everybody else is busy working. Jay King was busy working tonight, and Christine Chamberlain was meant to be on the show tonight, but he had to jump off, do some stuff at the last minute. And also, we couldn't get Michael Howarth on either. And a couple of other reserve journalists that I had up my sleeve as well. So I think maybe we'll be back to the midweek times when everyone's like bored next time. So there you go. To be honest, I don't know when we're on next. It depends on your shifts, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'll get that sorted and get that out. So
there you go.
Unless I need to check the calendar for that. So yeah, we'll get that sorted and get that out to the
COVID hero.
People.
Have you had your thingy, by the way, vaccine?
I have. Yeah, I had my first dose exactly a week ago today.
All right, I had mine on Monday.
How do you feel?
I had a nasty side effect.
Did you?
I thought I had that blood clot thing I thought I was in literally a massive fever, dizzy, in bed for like 48 hours, and I felt like death. But I'm okay now.
I had a little bit of tiredness, little bit of bit of rough feeling, but nothing too major.
Like a bad pasta.
Yeah, like a bad pasta.
Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you very much to Christine Chamberlain for organising the interviews this evening. Thank you, Tristan, for showing up on your Saturday night, and thank you to Simon Buckmaster and to Luke Hedger, and to you as well for sticking with us for the full 2 hours. And you can go back on our website, motorsport.radio, to listen back or download any of the podcasts from your favourite podcast providers. Thank you and good night.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.